Hey everyone, I wanted to jump on here and provide a video as promised in one of my Facebook Lives about EMDR therapy. My hope is to tell you a little bit about the theory behind EMDR, introduce you briefly to the equipment, so that this idea of something other than talk therapy doesn't feel as intimidating, unknown, or scary to you, doesn't feel so hoodoo voodoo, since most of us are really more familiar with talk therapy. So to get started, I want to talk a little bit about the brain. And those who follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram may have seen one of my posts called "Time Does Not Heal All Wounds." And that's a hard truth. And that's what I really want to talk about today, and why EMDR can be so powerful in those situations. So our brain has millions of memory networks, and it already has this built-in system that helps us heal when disturbing events occur. And that system is called the Adaptive Information Processing System. And so what happens is we may experience a distressing event, like an argument with a friend. And we go to sleep at night and our brain is working. And what it does is it links up information that's already available to us in our system. And it says something like, hey, have we experienced this before? What do we do about this? How do we solve this problem? How are we going to heal from this event? And so it looks for that file that says conflict with friend, and it's able to link up that information that says, we've had this happen before, this is how we deal with it, this is how we cope, this is how we let go and we move on. But there are times when that information processing system gets overwhelmed. The event is so much that, or we don't have a file for that situation. So, people will talk about big T versus little t traumas. So what may feel like a big trauma to someone may be a little trauma to another person, and vice versa. What's important in looking at this is, does this person have some learning already stored into the brain that this event can be linked up to move towards healing? And if it doesn't, big T or little t, it can overwhelm the system. So what happens when this information processing system doesn't work? What happens is it gets stuck or frozen in that moment, along with the memories, what you see, what you felt, how you experienced it in your body, those body sensations, any thoughts or beliefs that occurred at that time. It gets stuck, and that information system can't move it through to health. So what we see is that then the past can become present. There can be current experiences that hit up against that frozen memory, triggering those same feelings, thoughts, body sensations, and flooding that system again. And this can happen repeatedly. So Francine Shapiro talks about this, and she says, since that memory, those memory connections really occur on a deeper cellular unconscious level, you may have no idea what is happening. Francine Shapiro developed EMDR, and she will say, because the past becomes present and you have no idea what's running the show. So EMDR therapy helps clients access any unprocessed memories that are negatively impacting the present. And we use this equipment which provides what's called bilateral stimulation, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Bilateral meaning both sides of the brain. And it uses this equipment to jumpstart that adaptive information processing system. And what happens then is by jump-starting that system, we can help that memory access learning information that may be present now, that wasn't present then, and make those links again that help move the client towards healing. So bilateral stimulation, again, is both sides of the brain. And there's some different theories about how this works. One is kind of connecting the movement here, which I'll show you in a second, to the same movement with the eyes with REM sleep. And when I talked about it before with the conflict with a friend, you know, just sleep on it, you'll feel better in the morning. And that's when people believe that during REM sleep, that information processing system can get to work, and the eye movement that occurs side to side during REM sleep is said to help stimulate that process. The bilateral stimulation, and the why they call it the both sides of the brain, is it's said that it can help communicate, help the whole brain communicate, those two hemispheres, so that that information can connect with learning experiences and adaptive information to again move it towards healing. The third thing is called working memory. And while your eyes are moving or you're having the bilateral stimulation, while you're holding that distressing event and the things associated with it into that working memory, that it allows that memory to be desensitized during this process. So let me just show you for a second. I'm gonna kind of pull these up. So you've probably seen me post about eye movement, and you might have seen people doing the hand movements with that has you tracking with your eyes. I use what's called a light bar to do that same type of stimulation. So I'm gonna go ahead, and then I also use for tactile these buzzers. Now you've seen probably on one of my posts where there's butterfly tapping, you can tap your knees. Again, it's both sides of the body and both sides of the brain with those hemispheres communicating. So I use my iPad to kind of run my light bar here and my tappers. You can use one. I like to use both. And so I'm just going to run this a little bit. And you can see that movement with it going back and forth. And at the same time, these are creating a vibration. You can see the lights going that tell which way they're going to. And these go in sync as we are processing these disturbing events. There's nothing, you know, shocking, harmful or hurtful in this at all. It's just a light buzzing or vibration, but it does create that tactile bilateral stimulation, that visual. I know that some therapists also have their clients wearing headphones that creates the auditory sound back and forth as well. So there's 8 full phases of EMDR. I'm not really going to go through all of those today. There's a preparation and history taking, assessment of what target you're going to use, and then the desensitization phase of doing the working memory, the bilateral stimulation, and then there's some other phases after that. But I hope you'll get a sense of what EMDR does in terms of going after and jump-starting that unprocessed information, that unprocessed memory, so that healing can occur again and there aren't those triggers that hit up against it anymore. Because EMDR has a 3-prong approach. It looks for those past distressing events, helps work through present triggers that may be activating them, and then we do something in the future, a future template that helps us plan for and prepare for any kind of future situations that you may encounter that may activate that. That way, we make sure that we really address all of those memory networks associated with that distressing event and really give it the adaptive information for healing. I hope this helps you have a peek into EMDR. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me by phone, email, here on Messenger. I'd be happy to answer any other questions you have about EMDR. Thanks. Have a great one. Let me turn it off. Bye.